this is very informal. You can stop me at any time, and there's nobody going to introduce me. I am the voice of PwC 3, which is organizing the Singapore Advocacy Awards. And this is our first formal presentation to civil society members. And I recognize and acknowledge the presence of some very senior members, and thank you for coming. We have members from PwC 2.
Yeah.
Rastford. Can you hear me?
Not really.
Yes, I can.
All right.
It's a big booming voice.
PwC
Into the mic.
aware? It's too loud. Aware, wings, okay, brown, functionate, acres, TOC, who else is here that I...
Aware.
Aware. Not likely to forget aware.
Marua is there.
Where's Marua?
There.
Who?
The man in the tie. Home.
Man of the time, Marua. Yes, thank you. You're also from home, aren't you? Yes. Yes. Thank you all very much. And I mentioned these, and wings. Thank you. I mentioned these organizations in particular because I think they are a very important part of civil society. They are advocacy groups, and they are the vanguard, the people who lead others like us, the rest of the community, into changing attitudes, into new ideas, in challenging current situations and current policies. And over the last 50 years, some of us, like William Lim, have been at it for 50 years. And that needed stamina, courage, and ideas which seem to keep coming and not stopping. And these are the people we need to recognize and acknowledge and thank. So, in the last 1 year, we've had conversations among ourselves in civil society about this idea of giving awards to advocacy work. Because advocacy work is the most difficult kind of work that we can do in Singapore. 1, it's hard work. 2, it's not recognized. 3, actually the government doesn't like it very much. That should be number 1. I wasn't going to say it, but it came out. So they prefer civic. They prefer to refer to civic organization. We say civil society, they say civic society. And so that kind of discussion had been going on, and I thought after the last election it would have changed, but it hasn't changed. And it's still civic society against civil society. So this is one way of recognizing that the work of civil society be acknowledged and be rewarded. And so we have worked, the committee has worked on a document which I'm going to talk you through it. Can we start? All right. You can all see in the summary, it's an annual award which recognizes, affirms and celebrates civil society for its outstanding initiatives and positive impact on integration, diversity, solidarity, tolerance, and awareness in Singapore. So the award recognized the efforts of civil society activists affirm their role in the shaping of our society, celebrate civil society advocacy and its achievements. You can stop. Please do stop and ask me questions so I can take a breath. The key objectives of the award is raise public image of civil society efforts and contributions by focusing attention on the positive aspects of civil society activism. One of the reporters, Shrestha Dance reporter, was asking me why we need to raise awareness and why at this time, and did I think that there is a need? And I gave her the reasons I just did. Yes, we do need to raise awareness because we still need to educate our public servants and ministers that there is such a thing as civil society and that we need to pay attention to what they are saying. In fact, I have a captive audience here. In fact, I think a lot of the troubles we are facing today, we could have minimized those problems that we are facing today with issues like aging and drop in fertility rate and poverty, the situation of foreign workers. If they had engaged members and organizations of civil society, they would have arrived at a better understanding of what is happening on the ground. Number two, work towards recognition of activists and organizations working to promote human rights, social justice, freedom of expression, civic responsibilities and obligations. Somebody asked me about human rights. It's not a very politically correct word in Singapore. And I remember the times that we were not even allowed to use the term human rights. And yet, human rights covers every aspect of our lives, whether it's got to do with ageism or the rights of visually handicapped, the rights of children, the rights of domestic workers. And I remember Mr. Lee saying, the trouble with having lived a long time is remembering, memory. I remember a long time ago, Mr. Lee challenging the definition of human rights, Western definition of human rights, and said, those intangible ideas we are not interested in. Singaporeans are not interested in. We are interested in issues, bread and butter issues like housing, education, poverty. And of course he was saying that we have covered every one of those issues and that we provide housing, we provide education, and we assure health, and we assure that we don't have any, there are no poor in our community. Precisely those are the issues that have come up now. You know, so human rights cover those issues, and that also is to do with social justice, freedom of expression, civic responsibilities and obligations. We're not saying that that we don't have obligations, that we don't have responsibilities, that we can't work. We are saying is to free us to do that kind of work. There are too many restrictions that limit our scope to express ourselves and to work towards the good of society. 3, reward excellence in civil society initiatives and activists who have enriched society by their commitment, vigor, and outstanding contributions towards the social, political, cultural, and economic lives of Singaporeans.
Constance,
Yeah.
can I say something? It is to fulfill our rights as citizens of a country. So it is not just civil responsibilities. As if you are a full citizen of a country, you have to do all that.
Yes. Yeah.
So I just
Do you want
wonder
one here?
whether you want It's not. No, it's not. I said we also should say that we are fulfilling our rights as citizens of a country by being involved in all these. So it's not just civil society alone, it's not just human rights, but to be fully participating citizens of any democratic country.
We are stakeholders, you know. Civil society, there is also this confusion about civil society because, you know, we talk about civic society and civil society. So we decided we will have a definition for civil society. A civil society is a public space between the state, the market, and the ordinary household in which people can debate and tackle action. This is taken from our series, the BBC series. It includes, and that's another question that keeps coming up. Are we privileging ourselves, the advocacy groups? But civil society includes all voluntary organizations, welfare organizations, religious organizations, but not political parties. Although civil society activism has a political dimension. Advocacy, another difficult word or politically not so correct word in Singapore. Advocacy is always the vanguard of any movement or any change to happen. And as we know, the feminists got into trouble, civil rights people got into trouble because they were in the vanguard of the movement for change. And in Singapore itself, as William Lim will tell you, that when they started discussing public housing and some of those things that 50 years ago they were criticized for is happening now, taking into account where with its advocacy on women's rights, Nature Society, TWC2, when we first started work on all these issues, we didn't have very much appreciation or recognition. Sometimes, like domestic violence, for instance, it took 15 years of public education and advocacy work and lobbying for any kind of recognition and for the policies and laws to change. Marua has a difficult time because it's the new boy in town, a new person in town. So Marua is facing that difficulty, and so are social media. And so Marua is going to have to struggle for, I hope not as long as Aware did, for recognition and for changing attitudes about what you're trying to achieve. So advocacy is a process by an individual or group which aims to influence public policy and resource allocation decisions within political, economic, and social systems and institutions to facilitate civic engagement and collective action. Zihian was just telling me that they are working on the budget. They're working on what is happening to us in our economic life, isn't it? I may not be explaining myself very well, but they are also organizing a movement to influence policy. So these happen all the time, and it does have an impact on the way we think about these issues. We take so much for granted, and that one party or one institution is always right. It's not always right. Alternative views have to be challenged. Now we come to Singapore, the criteria for the awards. Civil society organizations or individuals who have the courage to take it upon themselves to identify a societal need and do something about it. Helped and enabled communities to find solutions and drive change for themselves. inspired others to contribute to their community, given their support, time, skills, and resources, and have made a difference to civil society action. Even this criteria have to be taken in the context of the whole document when we're talking. So you have to look at it from the context of civil society and the context of advocacy work. Now we have to give you an idea of who we think is a variety of people, diversity of people we call from our history, the civil society heroes. There has been activities, civil society activities, even before independence. Constance Goh, Key, is a pioneer in family planning in Singapore. And at the time, the Family Planning Association, I think they started in 1949. And they had to close in 1970 something. During the time they did advocacy work to make sure that women get medical technology, medical help for planning their families. She and women like her started the Family Planning Association, and which is even more credible for them because they co-founded the International Planned Parenthood Association. And their history, you see, part of this award is also to recognize history of people who have contributed and made a difference to our lives in Singapore. Then you have Hedwig Anwar. We all know Hedwig, pioneer in women's empowerment, and she is responsible for the growth and development of libraries in Singapore and the National Book Development Council, the WISH program, which teaches literacy to older women. Pao Kun is known as the greatest dramatist and arts activist. He established the theatre, I can't see my writing. Yes, theatre practice, thank you, and theatre training and research program and substation. Shireen Foster, who goes much earlier, who led the work on the campaign against polygamy and had the laws changed. Then there is SPUR. SPUR was started in when was it, William? Can you remember? 64, and dissolved in 1973. They were a pain in the backs of the National Housing Board Development, yeah. But they had very good ideas and they offered alternative vision of the kind of life we could lead in Singapore. In fact, they were also the first people who suggested, when the second airport was being considered for Paya Lebar, they were the ones who suggested that the better place to locate the airport would be Changi. Of course, that didn't get taken up till much, much later. So they were far ahead of their time. Then we have Ron Chandran Dudley, another pioneer, and whose work in the area of visually handicapped and disabled people's association prepared and pioneered the work to improve the quality of lives of the people with disabilities. So these are the people who made a difference in our lives and the lives of those Singaporeans who needed help most, and you needed the advocacy to do that kind of work. The Singapore Advocacy Awards, there are 3 awards: Civil Society Advocate of the Year, which is an individual award, Civil Society Advocate Organization of the Year, and Most Promising New Civil Society Advocate of the Year. In addition, there will be a honors list of those who have contributed to civil society over the years. The nomination process, the nomination papers will be uploaded in our website tonight, I think. And the nomination process begins today. So if you want to nominate, then please do nominate. You can start the process today. So the time frame for the activities is 1st June 2013 to 31st May 2014. It's a one-year time frame. Nominations must be submitted from January 2014, and the closing date is 20th June 2014. Anyone, including people who benefit from the group, organization, or individual activities, may make a nomination. You can nominate yourself or the organization you run, work for, or involved with, but if you do, there must always be one person to second the nomination. Nominations forms can be obtained from this website. Nomination committee will process the nominations and develop a short list of nominees for submission to the judging panel. Winners will be announced in August 2014. It will be the week before National Day, since it's not the National Day award. We have this very distinguished group of people who have accepted invitation to join the judging panel. Now you notice that they come from a variety of professions, a variety of areas of expertise or areas of activities. They give us respectability, and I'm glad they are here and supporting our initiative. Thank you very much. Sasi is the chair. Sasi is here. Sasi Dharan, as most of you know, is the most distinguished art practitioner, theatre trainer, and highly respected, courageous civil society activist. Cherian George, who is not here, is an academic but has been an observer of civil society for the last 20 odd years. Richard Hall, architect. Thank you, Richard. Richard is here. And Richard is also involved in the environment issues, right? And Bukit Brown, particularly in Bukit Brown, preserving Bukit Brown. Cheryl Siddiqui, you know, and she's not here. She's involved in research and is a publisher, and along with William publishes the Urban Labs, part of the Urban Lab, right? When it came to my name, you closed it up. That's okay. Then there is, I think it's Faiza, who is not well. She's supposed to be here, but she wasn't able to come. And Faiza is involved in, she's the NMP and is involved in environmental issues. Then I have the list. Anyway, I think that's it. Ting Wei is a doctor. We have made sure that we have, oh yes, there's more, yeah. People from different areas of life, all right? Then there's Jeffrey Yu, who is an arts supporter and former diplomat, and who is currently the chair of Wild Rice, I think. All right, I don't think he's here. All right, and finally, not happening. Finally, we have a patron. I'm so proud and so grateful to announce that William Lin has agreed to be our patron. I wanted to say a little more about that. William, of course, gives us a long history of activism. And we couldn't think of, we wanted to honor William. Because the last 50 years, and even during, especially during the darkest years of civil society activism, William was there. And he had never stopped. And he's still going on. And he has been, for me anyway, an inspiration, and continues to inspire people like me, who is also growing old and wondering how long we can go on. So he's an inspiration. Now William is currently the chairman of Asian Urban Lab and president of the Architectural Association of Asia, both of which he founded. He had been an advocate of creativity and heritage, a public advocate with a very long history of advocacy work. He was one of the earliest advocates raising the issue of heritage and remembering the past, to preserve cultural memories. And in 1986, along with others, he founded the Heritage Society, and he was the president for many years. He is, and as you all know who are in the arts community, he, and along with Lena, can be seen at every civil society occasion, at every art group, every theatre production, and it is, as an activist myself, it's very encouraging and very inspiring to have people who come and listen to you patiently, repeating what we say, and being there and being involved and supportive. So we are really very honored. We can't think of any other person better to be our patron. So thank you so much, William. I'm finished. Thank you very much. Any questions? Please ask questions, make comments, and tell us that this is a worthy project, that you're going to continue supporting us, and that we have to sustain it, and that it will be very successful. Tanya, don't laugh. Yes.
How did the inspiration of the logo came about? Why do you choose to
Do you want the mic? Yes, mic.
Sorry.
I'm quite curious how you have this inverted A design.
I have an explanation for that. Sorry. There it is.
But where did you get the inspiration from?
We had a designer who did this design for us. Isn't it amazing? It's minimalist, and it's upturned A. Apparently, it was influenced by Malcolm Gladwell. Yes, and I like this explanation, because we looked at it and said, what is this? So the designer gave us this explanation, and I'm so pleased with the explanation, especially the last part, points when a group or large number of group members rapidly and dramatically changes its behavior by widely adopting a previously rare practice. If there is anything rare, this is rare.
Was there other logo designs that you actually have seen before this? Were there samples of this? Is this the only logo that
This
you
is because he did partly pro bono. We can't afford, you know.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, that's right. Yes, I thought it was very, very. Thank you, Dana. Dana says it's a very good design. There's no need to look beyond this.
Connie, as you know, I don't live here in Singapore, but I've been an observer. And in a number of other countries, of course, in a number